Hi everyone, I will be starting shortly. Now that I can see that I'm actually managing to stream. Hi everyone, apologies for that. As you may have noticed, I've had a few technical glitches, but I think I've got it all sorted out now. So I'm hoping, especially on LinkedIn, that you can now see me because you couldn't before. You were staring at a black screen, and I was happily chatting away to myself with no one being able to watch. So anyway, hi everyone. My name is Nick Wilson. I am a Army veteran, served 14 years in the Army. I'm now a mental health expert through lived experience, and the founder of Talk Mental Health, a men's support group based in Northamptonshire. And I wanted to share with you a bit of my story, but make it relatable to failures and how failure can actually be positively powerful in your life. And I also wanted to speak out and condemn those individuals responsible for making racist comments. I'd like to think that maybe one in the England squad or someone might see this one day. Probably not, but you never know. I just want to put something out there. Hopefully they might get to see a bit of this and just to provide a different perspective for them to think about. So failure can be positive, powerful. Really? Can it? How? We have in society this perception that failure is horrendous, terrible. When I wrote a book and I got it published, and some of the comments on Amazon was, why should I read a book full of with your mistakes? I'd rather read a book about someone who's successful and turned a business into a millionaire, business, etc. They didn't get what I was trying to say was I was giving examples of how I failed because it's made me stronger, because I've learnt from it. And, even Richard Branson, who was on a rocket when he going into space and everything that he's achieved, he's failed in business at times over the years, because guess what? Shit happens. We cannot control it. Now, I personally, I've made many mistakes and failures in my life, in business when I was a kid, in the 14 years I was in the Army. I've also had many successes too. What I achieved in the Army, the fundraising that I've achieved. I've raised over £100,000 and things like this. So I've kind of seen both. But the biggest lessons which have led to a positive life-changing actions for me have actually come through my failures. It's great to have the successes, and, it's a bit like getting a medal in a way, I suppose. I did this, I did that. My first business, chauffeur company, I turned it into £250,000 in 2 years. Success. Actually, year 3, it led to burnout. I attempted suicide. I ended up getting addicted to prescribed opiate drugs. So I guess what I'm saying that yes, successes are great and wonderful, and we want to be able to set goals and aims in life so that we can achieve them. But when we make mistakes, when we do experience failures, as you could say one side is that England failed to win last night, and yes, they failed to win. They did not win. That people have said, football's not coming home, because it's going to Rome. Was it where the player said, Chiesi said last night, football's going to Rome? So, but here's a different perspective for you on that. I believe football is coming home and has come home. And the reason why I say this is because we've got a young team that have taken us to the finals for the first time in decades. Yeah. They've succeeded. They've gone further than any other squad has for so long. But also in what they are achieving off the pitch. The positivity that is coming from the things they are do for, Marcus Rashford with school lunches for kids. Yeah. All the things that they are doing around racism and equality, and all the things they do within their own local communities of where they live. Raheem Sterling has been, so inspiring with how he's gone about his managing his actions and his behaviours around racism, and how he responded to the things that people say. So actually, I believe football has come home. And this is going to be the start of a long, successful journey for not just the players and manager, but let's not forget about the backroom staff, all those people we don't really see, the medical team, the psychologists, the trainers, it's the whole squad that are involved in this. And it's really important that we also remember those who aren't on our TVs all of the time, who work just as hard, who are just as passionate, and who get hurt just as easily. Now, these kind of things that I'm saying, and I'm sure many of the positive things that are being told to the squad, to Sancho, Rashford, and Sterling, and any other black player or poor sod who isn't white that then gets racist slurs thrown at them. The positive elements, they probably won't ring true for a while. And it's so easy to say, be positive, you've done this, you've done that, you've done that. As individuals, it takes a bit of time for that to go in, They're going to be going on a journey, and they're going to have to go through this as individuals. Yes, they'll have the support of the backroom team, the squad, their friends, their work colleagues, families, etc. But they need to be able to process this within their own time, at their own speed, and what is right for them. And when they're ready to move on, they will, I'm sure. Now, I obviously... I can't say that I understand what it's like to have racist slurs thrown at you. I suppose I'm classed as a privileged white male, and I would never try to pretend to be a victim or anything like that because of racism. All I would say is that I can relate to some of the feelings, the emotions, through what I've experienced as a kid. I struggle with survivor's guilt, which is linked to the kind of the failure aspect of it, I suppose, where other military brothers and sisters, that they didn't survive, or they've got limbs missing. And I can't say that I got blown up, because I haven't been blown up. I've been shot at and seen RPGs flashing in front of my eyes and seen the horrors of war. But I've got all my limbs, and whilst I'm physically disabled because I've got 7 prolapse discs and fibromyalgia and arthritis and chronic pain, I still get survivor's guilt, and because of that survivor's guilt and because of what I've seen, that's why I've got post-traumatic stress disorder. It's why I have night terrors, which are based around a whole variety of ways for me to be tortured and ultimately killed, and a bunch of other stuff which obviously not going to go through now as a safeguarding viewpoint. So failure at a basic level and then failure at a much higher level, I've certainly experienced. I was bullied at a school when I was growing up, and certain things which I experienced whilst growing up, which I can't go into too much detail with, but because of those things, it drove me to self-harm, and I would cut myself. And that was how I channeled my emotions. And when cut myself wasn't enough, I then overdosed because I simply couldn't take it anymore, and I didn't want to be experiencing not just the physical pain, but the emotional pain as well. I used to go get bullied at school and then come home and try and support my disabled mum. This isn't about, oh, poor me. It's making it relatable to everyone out there, just not just the England squad, but anyone out there who suffers bullying, harassment, sexist slurs, racist slurs, anything where one human is acting completely inhumanely to somebody else. It's extremely difficult. Taking it a step further from that, since I made the calculated decision to actually speak about my poor mental health and my mental illness and my journey, and to be so transparent with everybody on social media, I knew it was always going to be a gamble. I've probably lost business because of it, but the bigger picture was that I felt I wanted to do this, and it became my purpose in life to be able to better help other people. Kind of strapline, I suppose, is to help people to better manage their own mental well-being and to gain an increased knowledge around mental health and mental illness. And that has become my purpose. Great, brilliant. But what I didn't fully appreciate was the level and the intensity of online bullying and slurs that I would get from individuals. I would go on and speak about my post-traumatic stress disorder, about surviving attempted suicide, about my night terrors, about struggling with suicidal ideation because of the amount of chronic pain I'm in every single day. And I thought that naively that there would be empathy and an element of understanding for people of what I'm trying to achieve and what I'm trying to do. What I wasn't prepared for was for people to call me a liar and a fraud, for people to accuse me of faking tears when I was at a time when I was so broken and having suicidal ideation. I wanted to demonstrate that there's very raw emotions and how that can be extremely costly to partners and to friends and to other colleagues, and how much support is needed for individuals and how much work is still yet to be done. And instead, I got accused of falsifying all of this, of going on a Facebook Live crying instead of the good, well-intentioned doing it for a positive outcome. I was accused of trying to further my public speaking career and my mental health consultancy to gain exposure because of my tears. Didn't expect that. And when I was talking about my suicidal thoughts and kind of struggling with life and with everything that was going on, I was getting told in response to my videos to shut up and get on with it. How do you deal with that? Someone else commented another time 2 years ago, year and a half ago, sorry, again about suicidal ideation and at times when I was struggling, and their comment was, just get on with it already. This is one human being telling another